Hello and welcome back to Election Dissection. Today we're going to be focusing on the 2024 presidential election and what the map might look like, what we could see happen, especially the swing states, because I think there are going to be some interesting changes. Before we begin, sorry if you hear my dog sneezing. He's a little bit sick and he's been sneezing really loudly, like having sneezing fits, so that's just a little disclaimer. Okay, so I'm going to start by filling in what I believe are going to become the safe states, actually, hold on, for this upcoming election. These are just traditional, I think one of the more notable changes, the two most notable changes are Colorado and Virginia. Normally, they would be qualified as, wait, hold on, I keep forgetting some. Oops. Why did I do that? Those two have usually been qualified as swing states, and okay, I think I have all them down. The ones that So this is how I believe the map will play out. Yes, you see South Carolina, right? Yes, you see Alaska, correct. You see Nevada and Minnesota, correct. So these are the states that I think are not going to be safe, that they're not going to be above 12 points. That's my margin for a safe. So let's look at the first swing state I want to talk about is North Carolina, because the Democrats have been eyeing this state for years now. Obama was able to win it in 2008 and then he lost it. So I have Wikipedia's page here as well. But this state was actually quite close. It was only 1.3 points, and for the Democrats, that's a pretty strong showing. Charlotte, Raleigh, I think. I don't know. They turned out in pretty large numbers. Compared to 2016, the margin expanded. It didn't expand for Trump, but expanded for Biden by like 2 points, which for a Democrat is very impressive in this state that is normally qualified as a Republican state. So here we can see the vote totals for Republicans did increase just because turnout was, as you see here, up by close to 10 points, which no matter what will be. But in 2012, Obama lost this state by 2 points. He had won it 4 years previous, and that for the Republicans was a pretty important victory because it meant that they were able to reclaim a lot of territory that they had lost. And so in 2020, Biden expanded on Hillary's lead or Hillary's win margin, whatever. And even expanded on Obama's lead in 2012, margin in 2012, which is pretty impressive for Biden because he wasn't necessarily as popular of a candidate. But looking around here, I think the Democrats just have to focus on the big cities, Charlotte, Greensboro, and Raleigh. Not necessarily Fayetteville, but the places where minority vote is a pretty large percentage of the vote, just because they always perform better with that group. And even looking in the Senate race here, my computer's saying a little bit to load. Tillis won by, what is that? Oh, no, not math again. A little bit, 1.8 points. Yes, there we go. And so that meant Biden increased support over the Senate candidate, which isn't such a special thing, but I thought that it was important because it meant that he came even closer to winning the state. So I think in 2024, this is going to be one of the biggest swing states to look out for. Democrats are going to push for it at 16 electoral votes, which can make or break an election. Like we know, like Wisconsin can do it, North Carolina can do it. The next state, obviously, we're going to focus on is Georgia because it's a pretty new swing state. Biden only won it by 12,000, increased by 12,000 votes. And of course, we're attributing this to Stacey Abrams. She fought in this state for so many months, so many years to make this state blue, and she finally paid off, and I think Democrats still have opportunities to build off the margin that we saw here. We saw it with the Senate candidate. Warnock almost won, if I'm correct, with close to 100,000 votes, which that is, for Georgia, Very impressive here. Let's look. Just under 100,000 votes. That is monumental for a Senate runoff. Like, I think that Democrats are going to still have to push for this. I think it's going to be a swing state. It's not going to be as big of a swing state, but it will still be a swing state. The next one I want to focus on is right below it. It's Florida. I personally believe that this will still go to the Republicans. I don't think this will be a swing state. Democrats, of course, are going to spend money in this place. They always do because it's Florida. What do you expect? But I think they're going to pour money into Miami because this is literally what made them lose the state. Trump was able to gain 200,000 votes in this singular county. And that's all he did. He didn't expand anywhere else. Sorry for my dog. He didn't expand anywhere else. And so I think this will be a lean state if Democrats are not able to pull their game together in Miami. Texas is, I'm just going through each of these states, like South Carolina, we won't spend a lot of time on. Why is my dog barking? I don't know. So Texas is an interesting case because compared here, I'm just going to go, if I can find Texas on this page, I would be impressed with myself. Why is my dog barking? I have no idea. Where is it? Okay, I'll go back to that. But Texas was a state the Democrats had been hoping. There were so many polls that showed them tied or something. Hedens just started barking. But what I was saying was there were so many polls that showed Biden and Trump tied, and Democrats actually thought they could turn Georgia blue. And I definitely thought for a point there could be a possibility it could go blue. And we saw that it really didn't change. Compared to here, I'll just search it up. Texas 2020 election. Or sorry. So, sorry, I'm just going to search it up. Okay, so compared to 2016, Biden was, yes, able to improve on Clinton's margin, but only by 3 points, which is not a lot. You know, if Democrats really want to turn this state blue, they're going to have to do much more than 3 points. Yes, Trump's share came down a little bit, but that's just because it came down. There's nothing special about that. So a lot of places in Texas are going to have to shift. So for that reason, I'm still gonna put it in the tilt, just because I do think Democrats will gain more than 3 points in this next election. I think it'll be a little bit bigger, especially because there are other races like the Senate race, which we saw Beto O'Rourke come within 2 points of Ted Cruz, which that alone is impressive for Texas. So we know they can do it. It's just the Democrats have to organize it. So that's Texas. Oh, I didn't fill in. I feel so stupid. So that's Texas. I'm gonna go into Alaska. So Alaska is a very interesting state, just because it's traditionally red. Sarah Palin's from there. Lisa Murkowski is from there. But why is this not okay? But Biden came within 10 points of Trump. That in Alaska is unheard of. Like, if you think about that, that's like the margin for Virginia. For a state that in 2016 went to Trump by over, like, what is that? That's like 15 points. Biden was able to pick up 5 points in that state. That's massive. I think it says a lot about this state and how it's shifting. It's been shifting to the left, interestingly, quite a lot, actually. 14 points. This is a very strong year. And still, McCain was 20 points, right? For a election that Montana almost went blue. Like, think about that. So, for that reason, I'm gonna put this in the lean. I think that it won't go blue, but it could get very, very, very narrow. Just because of the trends it's been seeing. Next state on the list is Arizona. This was a flip for the Democrats first since, 1996 was it? Yeah. And it really was just Maricopa County. normally whoever wins Maricopa County wins the state, and we saw that in this election. It held true. Oh no, I'm gonna have to search up. Just see. Sorry about that. And so this win was just monumental because Democrats had been eyeing it for years. It was why is this not working? They had been eyeing it for years. 2018 was an example of how it could go blue. It did go blue on the Senate level, and so I think if Democrats are able to build their margins, which they could in Pima County and Maricopa, I think that they're able to build off their margin right now. You could see it even become a lean state. And right now, obviously, it's only January 28th, 2021. We're quite a while away. I think it will go blue. It will go in a lean margin. Just because the trends have shown it's the demographics, things like that. Both Senate seats are now blue. There's going to be a big shift to the Democratic side, I think. Next on to Nevada. This state is very interesting to me because it was never solidly a Democratic state. It kind of was, but not necessarily. No, I'm going to have to search up Wikipedia again. So, compared to 2016, I remember this was only an increase for Biden of Trump actually for 0.0017, if I'm correct. Which is nothing. Just nothing. So I think that it's never really, this is a safe margin. It's not a safe margin. It's coming close. It's a likely margin. Let's look at 2008. 2008 was still a likely margin. And then Bush won it, it's only recently become blue, and we can see it's shifting back to the right again. Republicans have been eyeing it because it doesn't make a difference, but why did I do that? I do think this will be a swing state, actually, more than Arizona. So this state, just Nevada, I think shows how demographics are shifting across the country, how in certain places where there are high minorities, it's shifting more left, and where there are less and shrinking, like Nevada. There's still a lot of Hispanics there, but it's still shrinking a little bit, if I'm correct. We see it move to the right, so it's a pattern. We knew this already, but I just think this just solidifies our belief. Next is South Carolina. I'm going to have to keep searching this up. Carolina. What? So, this state has also been moving to the left. Not a lot, but it's been noticeable. So Trump won it by 12-ish points. But 2016, he won by 14 points. Before that, Obama won by 10. And before that, McCain won by 9. And so we can see it can get narrow. It can get very narrow. But then it can also be a 17-point margin like this. But in 2020, compared to 2016, Biden was able to build off of Hillary's or Clinton's margin. And I think that's important in a state like South Carolina, which is pretty Republican. For Biden to be able to build off of her margin means that there's something going on there. Again, it's shifting demographics. What a surprise. There's more African Americans going. There is already a large minority presence there. Jamie Harrison saw that they could motivate the base, but it's just hard to. It kind of sounds like a Georgia to me, actually, just because there's a lot of suppression of vote there. And so, if Democrats are able to get rid of the suppression, it could become very close. It could become a swing state. So I'm just going to speed through Minnesota because this is pretty long, I'm pretty sure. But I do think it'll narrow up for the Democrats. It did move to a lot to the Democratic side, actually. It was quite an interesting, it was 7 points, which compared to 2016 was a massive shift. So I think that one is a state that will narrow up again. But I'm also going to speak through Iowa. I think Iowa and Ohio will be lean states. Democrats, yes, have an opportunity there, but I don't think that they'll have enough motivation to make it blue or a swing state. It's become more Republican over as minorities are leaving the state. Things like that, making it more difficult for the Democrats to do well statewide in those places. So I think those two states are most likely going to go to the Republicans. These two states are going to be swing states. Wisconsin was so close. It was only 20,000 votes, and it's had a history of becoming very narrow. It obviously went to Trump. So I think there is definitely a possibility of it, again, going to a Republican. I wouldn't be surprised by it. Michigan is the one state that I'm still kind of going in between and making it a tilt state, because this was close to a 3-point margin, and a 150,000 vote win, which for a state that just went 4 years ago to a Republican is a very big shift. And I think that Michigan, out of all of them, because of Detroit and in Philadelphia here, make those two states more Democratic than Wisconsin. Wisconsin doesn't necessarily have a big, city, like Milwaukee, you could say, but it really isn't that big of a city. Pennsylvania, too, was a 1.2 point win, which was not bad, do not get me wrong, but it's definitely, for it to become a Democratic state, for me to characterize it as that, it has to shift more. New Hampshire, I'm going to put in the Democratic column, actually, as a lean state. Yes, in 2016 it was 2,000 votes, or it was 1,000 votes, but I think in the future it will stay Democratic. It will shift to the right, but it will still stay Democratic, just because this was a solid victory for Biden, and I think that's going to be hard for a Republican to diminish in just 4 years. I mean, it's obviously possible, but I think it'll be hard. Nebraska second, I'm going to give to the Democrats by a lean margin, just because Biden just performed very well there. 8-ish point victory, which very impressive. And Maine's second, I'm going to put in the swing state. It went to Trump pretty solidly. Yeah, but it went to Obama before, and I think if the Democrats put up the right candidate, they could be able to flip it back to the Democratic side. So yeah. So this is my map. This is what I think 2024 will look like. Swing states, however they can go anyway. The Democrats can win with just these, if I'm correct. Yeah, they don't even need any. They don't need Nevada. They don't need Georgia. The Republicans just need all of these, and then they win they win without Nevada. So basically what I'm trying to say is that these states will be vital no matter to which party. Both parties need these states, all of them. And they're all pathways for the Republicans, they're all pathways for the Democrats. And I'm actually going to put Texas in the swing state, just because I do think Republicans will win it in the end, but it will be a swing state, I believe. So there you go. This is my 2024, not necessarily prediction, but possibility map, what it could look like, and things like that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe. Don't leave a like. I don't know why people say that. Just subscribe, please. That's all you have to do. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.